He was halfway up the eastern ridge of the canyon, his pack heavy with scrap from a mining drone he'd gutted that morning. Smoke curled through the sky, thick and dark, and the sound of splitting metal echoed across the empty plateau. A ship, definitely not human, definitely not commercial, had gone down fast and hard, carving a blackened trench through the rock before slamming into the canyon floor below. Brann dropped into a crouch, his breath catching. Alien. And not just some crusted-over wreck from the last war, either. This one was fresh. And that meant salvage. He waited until the smoke thinned, until the canyon's hot wind died down and silence returned like a warning. Then, under the dimming twin suns, he descended. Up close, the ship looked like a massive insect. Black, jagged, and full of appendages that pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins. Its hull had cracked open like a broken egg, steaming and bleeding green ichor that smelled vaguely metallic. Brann circled it slowly, his gloves brushing scorched metal, until he found what he was looking for, a breach in the lower section that led inside. He climbed in, boots echoing on unfamiliar metal. The corridors were narrow, ribbed like bone. Organic lights pulsed faintly on the ceiling, casting shadows that moved too much. He tried not to look at them. Salvage first. Fear later. The ship was quiet. Unsettlingly so. No alarms. No movement. No bodies. Brann reached what looked like the cargo hold. Crates, oblong and smooth, lay scattered across the floor, half opened in the crash. Strange orbs, fluid tanks, and pulsating cores hummed quietly in the dimness. He didn't recognize any of it, but he knew tech when he saw it, and this was more than enough to set him up for life. He was halfway through stuffing his sack with whatever looked valuable when a noise stopped him cold. A breath. He froze, turned, and saw her. She lay in a curled heap against the far wall, one arm folded beneath her, the other stretched toward a long, wicked-looking weapon lying just out of reach. Her body was encased in dull silver armor, cracked and scorched from the crash. Pale blue skin, streaked with blood, shimmered in the low light. Her eyes were closed. Asleep. Or unconscious. Or. Brann crept closer. Dead. She didn't move. Her chest rose and fell, shallow and slow. Definitely not dead. He looked at the spear. It was unlike anything he'd ever seen. Its shaft shimmered like liquid obsidian, and the tip, barbed and glowing faintly, hovered just inches above the floor, even though it wasn't touching anything. Suspended. Floating. Waiting. Just take what you can carry and get out, Brann muttered to himself, backing away. Don't be stupid. But the spear. It would sell for millions. With hands that shook more than he wanted to admit, he stepped around her. Carefully. Quietly. One hand reached out, fingers brushing the smooth, humming surface of the weapon. It was warm. Suddenly. It moved. The spear jerked up and shot toward him like a viper. Brann leapt back, heart pounding, as the weapon spun midair and pointed directly at his chest. He raised his hands, eyes wide. The woman didn't stir. But the spear hovered protectively above her like a guard dog, aimed directly at him. Okay, Brann whispered. Okay, you keep it. Not mine. I get it. He backed toward the exit. The spear followed, keeping its distance, but never turning away. Only once he was out of the room did it retreat, slowly, gliding back to her side. Brann stumbled out of the ship and didn't stop running until he hit the edge of the canyon. He returned the next day. He told himself it was for the rest of the salvage, but that was a lie. He couldn't stop thinking about the woman. About the spear. The way it had defended her, even while she slept. He wasn't sure if it was terrifying or beautiful. This time, he brought water. Rations. A med pack. Just in case. She hadn't moved when he entered. Her position was the same. The spear hovered still beside her, unmoving but alert. He placed the supplies gently on the floor, then backed out. The next day, one of the water packs was empty. He smiled. Over the next week, he kept coming back. He brought more supplies, left tools and a lantern. Even spoke to her sometimes, like she could hear him. He told her about the dust storms, the mining guilds, the wars. He didn't know why he did it. She never moved. But every day, something shifted. The med pack was used. The food disappeared. Once, he found the spear resting by her hand instead of floating. Another time, she was turned on her side. Alive. Healing. He never tried to touch the spear again. On the 12th day, he found her standing. It took his breath away. She stood near the breach, looking out at the canyon, her back straight, arms crossed. The spear floated silently at her side. She turned as he entered, her expression unreadable. She was tall. Taller than him. Elegant and deadly, even wounded. Her eyes, pale and bright as twin moons, locked on his. He raised a hand, awkwardly. "Hey, you're awake." She didn't speak. Instead, she nodded. Then gestured to the salvage crates behind her. An invitation. Together, they sorted through the wreck. She pointed out what he could take, what was too dangerous, what was hers. She didn't say a word, but she didn't need to. Her eyes were sharp, her gestures clear. By the end of the day, his sack was full again, but this time, with her blessing. And when he turned to leave, she gave him a slow, deliberate bow. He bowed back. Something unspoken passed between them. Respect. Brann returned every few days after that. Sometimes she was gone, patrolling the ridge or mapping her escape route. Other times, they worked silently side by side. He learned her name by accident. It was carved into the side of her armor, Ketheri. She still didn't speak. But she listened. And one night, when the stars burned especially bright, she pointed to the sky. Drew a constellation with her finger. Then another. Then a shape. Her home. Brann nodded. He understood. She missed it. On the 21st day, the bounty hunters came. 2 ships. Marked with the sigil of the Red Scorch cartel. Brann spotted them from the ridge and raced to the wreck, panting and shouting before he even got inside. "They're coming, armed, 2 minutes out." Ketheri was already moving. She summoned the spear with a flick of her wrist. It flew to her hand like it belonged there. She turned to Brann and pointed to the breach. "Run." He hesitated. Then she said, in a voice like distant thunder, "Go." He ran. But not far. From behind a rock outcrop, he watched. The bounty hunters stormed the wreck, loud and laughing. Then silence. Then screaming. Ketheri moved like lightning. Her spear danced in the air, spinning and slicing with impossible grace. One hunter dropped, then another. The third tried to run. He didn't get far. Brann didn't see how it ended. Only that when it was over, she stood alone again, her armor stained, her spear dripping with light. She didn't look at him as she re-entered the wreck. But she knew he was there. The next morning, she was gone. The wreck was empty. The spear. The gear. Everything. Brann stood in the husk of the ship, heart hollow. He found only one thing left behind. A carved shard of her armor, shaped into a pendant, marked with a single symbol. Her name. A gift. Years later, Brann would still think about her.